is Steve Beauchamp. So thank you for joining me for today's video on 3 tips to optimize your workflow. And today we want to talk about using some simple tools to really understand what's going on with your routine. We want to also, learn how to figure out what's really important. And then the third thing is all about building yourself a sustainable and repeatable routine that you can execute flawlessly. I think we all have a desire inside of us to learn how to optimize things and make things better. I think that's just part of the human condition. I think we're all hardwired with that belief and that desire inside of us. And so the trick is a lot of us don't know where to get started. And a lot of us don't know how to start making some of those changes. Even if we do want to make those changes, sometimes it's hard to figure out what to do next. All right. So talking about simple tools, you've probably heard me talk about, using a tool like Toggle in the past. It's a great time tracking tool. Whatever it is that you're going to use, just make sure it's simple. Make sure you've got something that's really easy to use. You don't want something that's complicated, that's going to take a lot of time to figure out. And if low tech is your thing, just get a piece of paper and a pencil and do it that way. You don't have to use any kind of fancy software or anything like that. But simple is important, right? And quite frankly, the simpler for you, the better. And when you are figuring out, that tool is going to work for you, really the goal is to really understand, where is your time going? It's really difficult to be able to optimize your time if you don't know where it's going. So take some time, to really figure out, where's my attention going? What are the things that I'm doing? Because, the journey to being able to balance your time starts with really understanding where it's all going, right? I mean, that makes sense. And so I think it's really important to not speed through this and not, gloss over it. Just take your time, figure out where your time is going on a fairly regular basis, really truly understand it and study it. One of my mentors, Dave Meltzer, always says to be a student of your calendar. And I think it's really important to be able to, really truly do that. Not just, from the standpoint of like, oh yeah, my time is like, I'm always busy. That's not being a student of your calendar, right? Being a student of your calendar is knowing exactly where your time goes. And if that's not getting you the results that you want, then you need to start thinking about changing the things that you're doing, right? I mean, that seems pretty simple. So once you, have had a chance to see where your time is going, that's when you can start looking for opportunities to be able to increase your productivity, or, be able to, use smaller time blocks like I talked about in a previous video. Really start thinking about, if this is where all my time is going, is this what I really want to be spending my time on? It's an important question to be asking yourself, because if those aren't the things you really want to be spending your time on, then what in the world are you doing it for? Right? I mean, it seems pretty simple. So, I think it's important to, like I said, really be a student, study where your time's going. And I recommend, take a couple of weeks, take a month, take as long as you need to be able to really get a good sense of where your time is going, so that you can really make sure that your time is being used effectively. Drop a like or a comment below this video if this is really resonating with you. It would be really helpful for me to know if this is something that's, really helpful information, so that I can continue to put out good content like this. And, every week I'll be releasing another video that talks about the 5 different pillars that I believe are really critical to being able to engineer for yourself a routine that can give you the results that you really want, and to be able to give you the time freedom that you so deserve. And those 5 pillars are, using smaller time blocks, balancing your time, removing unwanted daily activities from your routine, enforcing your routine, and then being able to practice discipline. I think all 5 of those working in conjunction with themselves and having an even balance across them is how you truly engineer the success that you really want for yourself. Okay, so now that you've really, figured out where your time is going, so that's the first thing, right? So when it comes to your workflow, understanding where everything's going is the first step to being able to optimize it. So now that you've been able to understand where it's all going, now it's time to start thinking about, okay, of all of the things that I'm doing, what's important and what's not, and be very critical and be very ruthless in your, just analyzing of this information that you now have at your fingertips, because sometimes you think something's really important, but it really isn't. So the way that you can really figure out what the important things are versus the not important things is those activities that you're doing. Can you honestly say that it's moving you closer to the result that you really want to have for your business? And if it's not, then it's not an important activity. You need to get rid of it, right? Um, so really be critical about those activities that you have on your calendar. You really want to make sure that it's serving you well and serving your team well, and really helping you achieve the mission and vision that you have for your business. Because, if it's not, then you're going to feel unfulfilled, and you're going to feel like you're not actually moving in the direction that you really want to be moving in. And all of us want to make sure that we've got a solid purpose behind the things that we're doing. And the way that you ensure that that's true is by making sure that you don't have all of these unwanted things happening on your routine. Okay, so the third thing, when it comes to optimizing the workflow, you spend some time understanding where the time is going. You've spent some time saying, okay, these are the things I want to get rid of. I don't want to do these. I don't want to do those. Now it's time to really start honing in and building a routine for yourself. And, the thing about building a routine, a lot of people think, oh, that's just so mechanical and it takes the humanness out of it. I would argue that it's quite the opposite, because our brains actually thrive on having predictable routines. And the more predictable routines that we have for ourselves, it actually frees up more of our creativity. It frees up more of our ability to just be able to be in the moment. And also, about half of the things that you do on a daily basis are being done on autopilot anyway. And so why not program yourself to do some of those things on autopilot that are going to be able to get you the results that you want? Then you can spend more of your time, going to the beach with your kids, or, going to the gym, or, going to the mountains. One of the things I truly love is to be out in nature, away from the city, up in the mountains. And so think about, that when you're really considering the routine. And some arguments that some people have is like, well, I just really need to be able to control that. I'm like, do you really? Because is it getting you the results that you really want? If you're not getting those results, I would challenge you to think about, perhaps you could really, do yourself some benefit to having some kind of a routine for yourself. Now, I'm not telling you that you should have to-do lists, all over the place. Quite the opposite, actually. This is about honing in on the critical activities, making sure that those things are getting done in a sustainable and repeatable way and a predictable way, so that that you're going to be getting the results that you want, right? Because it's all about being able to have predictable systems in place. And when you have those in place, it becomes so much easier to be able to train your team, to be able to have, just that ability to disseminate information for new people that start with your organization. Or if you're going to outsource it, if having clear expectations of what the activities are when it's time to offload them can be very helpful in a smooth transition. So really think about that and consider that as you're going through that. So those are the 3 tips I have for you on being able to optimize your workflow. It's about understanding where the time's going, getting rid of the things that don't matter, and then building that routine so that it becomes clockwork. Because optimization is not something that happens by default. It happens by intentionality. And you really need to do, that optimization piece with intention. And without understanding where everything's going and making some of those decisions along the way, there's no intention in it. And you're just going to float through, and you're never going to be able to optimize things. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this resonated with you, and I'll see you on the next video.